Hello and welcome to another wild week of development on Disinherited. Things are really cooking in the second area, the Infinite Machine, with not one, but two new enemies being developed this week. Things got a little bit out of control though, because this little fly enemy that was supposed to be one of the most simple throwaway enemies turned into one of the most elaborate yet. So, let's get into it. I'm Dryden Thomas, and this is Disinherited. It's a side-scrolling roguelike game where you throw, catch, and parry your way through Death's domain to kill the Grim Reaper and claim eternal life. All to spite your father, who cut you out of his will. The first new enemy of this week is the drone cannon. This is something I tried to make in week 2 of the competition where Disinherited started, but I just way ran out of time. That was a real bummer to me, and here's why. I love it when enemies get you warmed up for the boss of their area, even in a subtle way. Think about Hades. In Elysium, these little soldiers warm you up for Theseus attacks, complete with the little pink reticle that follows you before the strike. And then these chariots charge around just like Asterius does. In the Infinite Machine, the boss is Augusta. I've been over her backstory a couple videos ago, so I won't do it again. But in the competition, she was pretty bare bones mechanically. She just had exactly 2 attacks. During the first one, she comes up to you and does a sucker punch with her robot arm. And during the other, she fires a drone out of her hand that pursues you. I really wanted an enemy that could introduce the drone, show how it moves and how you can interact with it before the boss fight. So now, it's here. Mechanically, this enemy is pretty simple. Its MO is just to move around and fire drones. But I will say that it took a long time to draw since these details got pretty intricate. After rigging it up, I realized that it was missing something. Steam. So I made this smoky looking shader and let it billow out the top, with a big burst when you beat it. The launching the drone part was really simple since I already had a script that can launch any projectile that you put into it. But I recognized a problem with the drones themselves once I got these drone cannons loaded into the Explore area. They were really hard to see. It wasn't a problem when they only appeared in the boss fight since that room is really well lit and you have a singular point of focus. But here, they were getting really difficult to parry or catch. And there was another flaw. When you see a bomb, you expect it to kind of explode, right? So that meant it was VFX time again. I took to Procreate and spent a couple hours drawing out this explosion. I've tried to do explosions before with particle systems, but they've never felt quite right. However, I've been playing a little bit of this gorgeous game called Have a Nice Death lately, and totally falling in love with the complexity of the animations in the game. Message received. I needed to try it. Add in some ember particles and a flash of light, and it's feeling a lot more exciting. I also added those same ember particles and a light to the drone itself, so it doesn't sneak up on you quite as much. Mechanically, in terms of affordance to the player, it feels a lot better. So that's the drone cannon. Then a new enemy needed to be made. I have a hopping enemy, a rolling enemy, and this sort of hybrid projectile melee roller fighter. But I was needing an enemy that was like the ghost from the last area. Something that flies and that goes down pretty easily. Commenter Poompika suggested a firefly among some other really cool ideas, and it happened to fit what I needed perfectly. The other thing that I found inspiring about this was that it already slotted very neatly into the mechanics of the game. A firefly generates light. So here's how the fly works. It gives you a trade offer. You get access to a light source, it gets to follow you and periodically zap every conductor on the screen. And you get to hope that you're not between them. Overall, this enemy took up most of Monday, and here's why. First, the VFX. I guess that's the theme of this video. I already had this lightning texture that I drew for Lighthoof, my other game. So I brought that in and messed around with it for a while until it felt right. The next step was adding a line renderer to draw the electricity dynamically. I made this function that takes in the start and end point, and then it can draw any number of points in between, with a random jitter that moves them perpendicular to the imaginary straight line. Here it goes in slow motion. You can see the lightning texture flowing too. But that wasn't enough visuals. You also need some stuff going on around the endpoints. Luckily, I was able to take that same texture and turn it into a particle that looks like some pretty convincing random sparks and stuff. The particles also serve to warn you that the attack is coming. So then the next step is the hitbox. The lightning is pretty much a straight line, so this can be a rectangular collider, and all you have to do is put the center right in between the two ends, set the width to be the distance between them, rotate it to match the angle between the ends, and turn it on and off with the lightning. And then you have to find the stuff to attach. I made this new interface called iConductor. If you're not a programmer, an interface kind of works like a button that you put on the front of another script. Basically like how if you see a play button on an appliance, pushing it is probably going to cause something to start, even if you don't know exactly what it is. The iConductor interface is something that I can put on any script to say to other scripts, hey, this thing attracts lightning. I made every enemy into a conductor and also drew these Tesla coils that are also conductors. I drew some other mystery traps and devices too, but they're gonna have to be in next video because I didn't get them implemented in the engine. So bundle up all of these ideas and the lightning attack has become its own script entirely, which means that I can reuse it later. However, first, I had another problem to solve. Now that I had all these enemies, the infinite machine area was hard. Like, brutally hard. Even without the Reaper, I was getting completely cooked in under a minute. I realized that the problem wasn't necessarily the enemies though. The problem was that fighting them in these confined spaces made them so difficult. The frog needed some room to hop, the lies needed to fly, and the drones needed to seek. We needed a task that I had been putting off for a long time. New tile chunks. I had to extend and rework my tile map system to make this work, but in the end, I now can design tile chunks specifically for each area. I like the catacombs as they are, this sort of claustrophobic and twisting paths that you have to crawl through like a labyrinth. But the Infinite Machines rooms are more open with smaller platforms. And this is only possible because of some of the mobility changes that I made to Samuel last week. The higher jump and the roll into long jump enables tons of new layouts. I just think it's so interesting how interconnected every part of game dev is. Like one animation or one sound or one UI element or piece of story can totally make or break the entire experience. So I've been doing a little bit of work developing Samuel's character more too. On Sunday I decided to draw him having a nice time on the surface for once. And also I've been reading some 19th century poetry to get more into his mindset and get inspiration. Kind of on a whim, I posted the image and asked for more recommendations for poetry, and I wasn't expecting you all to deliver so hard, but you did. I've now been introduced to some new non-Anglophone poets like Ugo Foscolo and Karl Macha, and some of you even gave me full curated lists of poems. So that's been some great bedtime reading, and I've even started writing some poetry as Samuel, so we'll see where that goes. Okay, back to the lightning. If you've put all of the foreshadowing together, you know exactly where this is going. Right into the moveset of our boss, Augusta. But her version of it is going to be a little bit different. Since you can't have lightning in a game without having chain lightning, I think that's actually international law, her first new attack is a blast of electricity that shoots toward one of the Tesla coils in the room, and then transfers to two others. But when she gets to low health, she starts blasting all of them at once. She's probably going to get another move or two still, but even just with this, she's becoming quite a problem for Samuel. And one more thing. I think I found the design for a character that I've been struggling with more than any other. The true heir to the Durant family fortune. The cat. Seriously, I've done like 30 to 40 sketches trying to figure out what this cat is gonna be like. But last night, after writing this script, I was chatting with my friend Cordelia about it. We were sending cat pictures back and forth, talking about the connotations of different kinds of cats, imagining different moods and vibes for each one, and finally, something landed. Here's the sketch. I think he's perfect. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the next one.